traded to the Suns. More recently, Bogdanovich signing with the Atlanta Hawks. And also notable, last year's sixth man of the year, Montrezl Harrell, leaving the Clippers and signing a deal with the crosstown rival Lakers. That is a savage move right there. And with that, let's welcome an NBA champion, Kendrick Perkins. Max, I want to start with you, though. What would you say was the most important move made this offseason, so far at least?
It's actually Bogdanovich, not because of where he wound up, but because of where he didn't. You know, the Bucks need to keep Giannis in Milwaukee, obviously. And Giannis is the kind of guy who would stay there, it seems, who wants to stay there. But the owners played the town and Giannis cheap last season when they let Brogdon sign away. And the importance of that is when you need to make a move for a guy like, say, Chris Paul, which is also a huge move, obviously, right, in the offseason, you need to match salaries, and you need to be able to trade talent in those kind of deals, but also keep your nucleus intact. So when they let Brogdon walk out, they lost a really good either piece going forward or trading chit, right? They lost one or the other, but that's gone. So what happens this season? They got to do something. Or like if Giannis has no path to a championship, why would he stay? So they did a very good thing in terms of the moves they seem to have made. Drew Holiday, who could be a real playmaker, especially in the playoffs. A guy who you could put Giannis in the dunker spot, or you could do a lot of different things. And Holiday, who plays up to the moment and who can play defense and who can shoot and who can create and do all those things, is a great pickup. And with Brook Lopez, who can defend the rim and shoot the three, even though he didn't shoot it great this season, but he can. We've seen it the previous season. We've seen it in his career. When you start, and Middleton, a real good two-way player, Bogdanovich fits into that starting five, and you look at it and you go, damn, that starting five, even if there's not another superstar in it, that's going to be a problem. And when the Bogdanovich trade got undone, and now he won't be in Milwaukee, that really makes a difference. Because Perk, not only can he shoot, but he can pass. He has a high basketball IQ. He's just a very good functional player who can do things with the ball, but doesn't need it in his hands to be effective on offense. That was a big blow for the Milwaukee Bucks and for their ability to sign Giannis to a supermax and keep him in Milwaukee. For that reason, I think that's going to have the biggest ripple effect.
Well, Max, I don't disagree with you. I actually like that Bogdanovich to Atlanta. I think him and Trae Young might be the best scoring backcourt in the league this year. But when you think about the biggest free agency, the biggest free agent, who had the biggest free agent signing, you can think of one city, Los Angeles. And when you think of Los Angeles, you think of one movie comes to mind, Friday. And guess what? Rob Pelinka was Debo and Lawrence Frank was Red. And Rob Pelinka walked up on Lawrence Frank and said, "What you got on my 40, homie?"
Fucking that
and
chain.
Lawrence Frank was like, "Well, what you mean? Well, what you mean? Well, what you mean? What you mean, Rob? What you mean? I don't want no problems. I told you about selling these CDs and shirts on my corner. Now I'm going to take your sixth man of the year, your second most consistent player, and I'm going to take him to the Lakers and let you know that we still run this town." And Max, don't give me about this upgrade of Serge Ibaka is better than Montrezl Harrell, because Montrezl Harrell is top 10 in the league at protecting the basket when opponents try him at the rim. He's 6th in the league at offensive putbacks. He's one of the best choice takers in the game today. Offensively, he's a guy that can create on his own and get buckets, and he plays with a tenacity that reminds me of a Kevin Garnett. So I'm looking at what Rob Pelinka done, and he straight Debo'd the Los Angeles Clippers and let them know that the Lakers still run this town. So we go take Montrezl Harrell, we go kick y'all out of the Staples Center, and while y'all leaving, make sure you leave this flat screen, that 75-inch that's hanging on the wall. We go take y'all sixth man of the year. That's who won. That's the biggest free agent signing.
That's a great analogy. That is a great analogy, but as we used to say back in the day, a whack point, Perk. What are you talking about? Montrezl Harrell's the biggest. Listen, they took Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Like, Montrezl Harrell is it's an upgrade there. but he's going to serve a very similar function. Meantime, the Clippers also upgraded, going from Montrezl Harrell to Serge Ibaka, who can also defend, is also versatile that way, and can stretch the floor. It's not knocking Montrezl Harrell. He's a nice player. By the way, what they wound up paying him, mid-level exception, right? Like, why do you think he's slot into that slot? He's a nice player. I like Montrezl Harrell. I'm not to put the biggest of the offseason. Wasn't even the biggest of the team. The Schroeder deal was bigger than the Montrezl Harrell deal.
But because the Lakers got him for so low when he did have an offer on the table for $80 million, and the Lakers convinced him to come over there and take $9 million, that's the biggest win. And take him from your crosstown rival. Yeah, Montrezl Harrell is the biggest win. And look, I get Serge Ibaka can stretch the floor, but now you have Montrezl Harrell, who's a dynamic roller, who's a lob threat at the basket. Now he's going to open up the lanes and open up the shooting and spacing for Anthony Davis. I love the pick, and I'm telling you, everybody need to watch out, because with Montrezl Harrell and Anthony Davis in that front court, it's going to be a problem. Pick your poison.
Hold on. That's Montrezl Harrell is the second biggest move for the Lakers of the offseason. The Schroeder move was bigger. Losing Rondo, which is a blow for sure, but then getting Schroeder in there is a bigger move than Montrezl Harrell.
First of all, Max, the question was what was the biggest signing, not the biggest move. Schroeder was traded there. Dennis Schroeder was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. So we said signing. And I said the Los Angeles had the biggest signing when they signed Montrezl and convinced him
Ibaka
to come play on this team. When he had a choice to go make $80 million for another team, I think it was the Hornets, and he chose to come play against
we should have gone to the Hornets for $80 million
and leave the Clippers. I know that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why the Lakers
if he had $80 million for the Hornets,
time.
he should have gone to the Hornets. But I'm not talking about what's the most impressive feat in terms of tricking a guy into turning down money or convincing him into turning down money. Dude, that's not even the biggest power forward signing in Los Angeles. The Montrezl Harrell signing is neither the biggest move of the offseason for the Lakers nor the biggest power forward signing in Los Angeles, which would be Serge Ibaka.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You can't tell me that a guy that just
hold this out.
Like, you cannot sit up here and argue. You cannot sit up here and argue with me and tell me a guy that just came off of winning the Sixth Man of the Year is not a big signing, man. He averaged 19 points a game on 55% shooting. We're talking about a Sixth Man of the Year. We was talking about maybe putting Montrezl. We was talking about even Montrezl Harrell last year possibly being in the All-Star game. So no, Serge Ibaka is not the biggest signing in LA. It's Montrezl Harrell. He's the biggest signing.